What I love about open source software is that it allows more people to shape the software that's shaping our world.
We really wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have community if it wasn't for our open source.
You know, if you look around the industry, you'll see so much of what we do is powered by open source software, even if you don't know it.
Open source is at the heart of pretty much most technologies that people are using today.
It's so important because it's also a way to share ideas.
So if you want software that really serves a lot of different types of needs, that serves different types of communities, you need more people building that software, and open source allows for that.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to The Big Push, a Hacktoberfest event brought to you by DigitalOcean, AppWrite, GitHub, and everybody else who decided to jump on my morning call. So, which is, as you can see, there's a lot of us here. It's fantastic. Makes me happy. The more, the merrier. So I am Mason. I'm one of the developer advocates at DigitalOcean. We're going to start in the order in which I see you. So Kim.
Hello, I'm Kim Schlesinger. I'm I keep never saying my title right. I am a developer advocate at DigitalOcean. I focus on cloud native technologies.
Were you about to say you're a DigitalOcean developer advocate?
I'm not sure. I think if I ever went through with the whole thing, I would say I'm a digital advocate.
Close enough. And we're gonna go with Matt. I can't point in mirrors. We all know this. If you've watched Cloud Chat, I can't point in a mirror. Every week. Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt, Community Platform Manager at DigitalOcean. I'm an engineer in our marketing team working on our community site and things like Hacktoberfest.
Awesome. Dang it. I swear. Rizal.
Awesome. So my name's Rizal. I'm a junior developer advocate at GitHub. I'm super excited to be on my first stream.
Awesome. Well, great. You're going to have a great time. Brandon, this one's easy. Straight down. That one doesn't change in a mirror.
Yeah, I'm Brandon. I'm a full stack engineer at AppWrite, and it has been lovely to participate with all of y'all and the open source community through Hacktoberfest. It's been a lot of fun.
Great to have you. Phoebe.
Hello. My name is Phoebe, and I am a community relations manager at DigitalOcean. And what I do is I help herd the cats of Hacktoberfest.
Yes, and she herds a lot of them. And then holding up the inverse pyramid, we have Chris.
Hey, everybody. I am a developer advocate at DigitalOcean as well, and I am kind of the JavaScript-y one of us. But yeah, welcome, everybody.
Yeah, welcome, everyone. Let's say hi to some people in the comments. We have a lot of people pulling in. So we have Ajit coming in and saying, hey, SD, Kang. Sam gives us a thumbs up. I do love a good thumbs up. Makes me feel like I'm doing it right. Create says they're hoping to get all 4 PRs done today so they can get the prize. That's a lofty goal. It's doable. Have fun. Adita says hi. I'm just going to go through these really quickly just so we can say hello to everyone. So great to see you all here coming in.
Yeah.
And yeah, so how's everyone doing this morning as I click through these?
Doing good.
Doing well.
Consumed far too much tea already to be awake and functioning for this.
Well, it's not the earliest. I mean, I think Chris is the earliest one on the call. Who all here is in Pacific time besides Chris?
I think it's just Chris.
Just
Kim and I are on Mountain Time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, wait,
Yeah.
Rizal, where are you? Are you in New York?
I'm in Boston. So it's 10 a.m. for me, so I can't complain, but I wake up late, so this is kind of early.
It's basically all my fault. I'm so sorry, everyone.
It works great.
Well,
Yeah.
I have to say, looking in the comments, so we do a talk show every week called Cloud Chats. There's a lot of people who I haven't seen before, so this is really exciting. Welcome.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
Okay.
but I do see Avnish is one of our repeaters. So welcome, Avnish.
Yay. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Real quick, we're going to have a quick word from the DigitalOcean CEO about Hacktoberfest, and then we're going to get into a great presentation from Rizal. We're going to talk about some open source repositories, help you find your resources today, or find some resources to help you find repositories to work on. We're going to go through a couple of common troubleshooting things with Git. Kim's going to do a pull request on screen because she volunteered or drew the short straw, however you want to call it. Then we're just going to hang out and, do as we did last time, where we just chill and talk about whatever comes to our mind, which is always so much fun. So here is our presentation from our CEO of DigitalOcean, Yancey.
Welcome to Hacktoberfest. At DigitalOcean, we believe the community is bigger than just us, which is why we celebrate the open source community throughout the month of October. We started Hacktoberfest in 2013, and that first year we had nearly 700 participants. And over the years, Hacktoberfest has grown to a community of over 150,000 participants in 135 countries who participate by sharing their projects, making pull requests, attending events, donating, and showing their support of open source. We welcome everyone of all backgrounds and levels of technical experience, especially those who are new to open source. Thank you to everyone participating in Hacktoberfest this year, especially the maintainers of open source projects. It's because of you that Hacktoberfest has been a success in bringing so many people into the open source software community over the many years. We can't wait to see what this year's contributors do. And happy hacking.
Great. I still say I need to get myself one of those sweaters because it's just a fancy looking sweater.
I just get that music as a backing track to my life.
It is very, very relaxing. So
Very evocative. I felt a little melancholy listening to the music.
I'm still just barely out of sleep mode. I almost went back.
yeah, I was like, are we gonna lose Chris here? Are we gonna come back and he's gonna be drooling? But we'll see. So
We just pull him off the stream and let him take a little nap, and then when he woke up, we'd pull him back in.
Wait, he's got headphones on, so we could just, let him go to sleep for a bit and then rudely wake him up again. There's nothing
That's
stopping.
pretty much a normal week, Like, do tech talks, do cloud chats, then get on this.
Yes, we definitely starting off our Monday strong this week. Rizal, go ahead and share your screen. And we will kick off with our presentation. So Rizal is going to be giving us an amazing presentation here on overcoming the fear of contributing to open source. It's definitely a problem that I still deal with to this day. I feel like a lot of people do. So without any further ado, Rizal, I'm turning it over to you. Take it away.
Thank you. Yep. So like you mentioned, I'm going to be talking about overcoming the fear of contributing to open source. So I've been a software engineer for about 3 years, but I procrastinated contributing to open source for almost all 3 of those years. Everybody was kind of telling me, like, you should contribute to open source. You should contribute to open source. And I was like, yeah, I know, I've tried, but every single time I try, I end up feeling like frustrated, intimidated, and like very anxious. Because I'd start wondering, like, am I choosing the right project? Will I feel excluded from this community? Because I heard a lot of negative things about some open source communities in the past. I wasn't also sure how to navigate the project. Sometimes I'd like clone the project and the code base would be so big and I wouldn't know where to start. And then I was also not sure if I'd be valuable to the project or the community. So I just decided I'm not going to do it because I already get paid to code. So why would I spend my free time coding for free? And this seems like a stressful experience. So I just was like, I'm not going to do it. Before I go any further, I'll let y'all know a little bit more about who I am. So my name's Rizal. I'm a junior developer advocate at GitHub. I am a non-traditional student, so I graduated from a boot camp called Resilient Coders. I love React. I love SQL. And I'm a big fan of Chloe and Halle Bailey. If you don't know who they are, I'm about to tell you because I'm almost like a super fan. Basically, they're a sister singing duo that started off on YouTube. But now they're like getting really big to the point that the youngest sister, Halle, is going to play Ariel in the live action Little Mermaid, and they're currently being mentored by Beyonce. They're also like my life goals. So I thought to myself, if I'm going to try to be as great as them, but in tech. And at that time, I had just gotten the offer to work at GitHub. And I was like, okay, it's the home of open source projects. And my manager is going to be B. Dougie or Brian Douglas, who often calls himself, or ironically calls himself, a Beyonce advocate. I decided, let me just give open source another try. So I ended up making my first contribution to open source last month, and it was completely worth it. And why it was worth it for me is that I got to learn something new, I gained a new community, and I had something to blog and tweet about, which I love doing. And I just love talking about tech on the internet. So that was cool, another topic for me. And then I also felt empowered and confident. Anytime that I don't know about you, but anytime that I've made my first pull request to a code base, I always feel really excited. But it felt even more exciting because this is something I was scared of doing in the past. So what did I do differently? How did I go from, I'm just not going to do this, to making my first contribution? I'll let you guys know right now. Basically, one of the first things I did was gain a support system. And that can look like just introducing yourself in the community group chat. So oftentimes open source projects have a Slack or a Discord where contributors and people from the community chat with each other. So that's a great opportunity for you to gain a sense of belonging. Also reaching out to the maintainers and kind of building a relationship with them. You can just say hey, I'm curious about contributing, or I want to learn more about the project. That's a good start. And then also personally for me, reminding myself that I knew other engineers who would be willing to assist me if anything bad happened. I don't know why, but I imagined something completely scary happening. But then I sat down and I was like, wait a minute, my husband's a software engineer and I went to a coding boot camp. So I have a ton of other software engineering friends who if anything crazy went or anything crazy happened, they'd be able to assist me. So this is just a screenshot of my manager telling me hey, I actually have an open source project that you can contribute to. And if anything happens, you can ask me questions. That alone was just a really empowering thing for me. It gave me a sense of belonging and I was like, okay, cool, I can do this. I ended up not needing his help, but just him saying that was already helpful. And then here's just a screenshot of me introducing myself in the Discord and everybody embraced me. And I was like, okay, cool. People in open source communities aren't that scary. Also, I decided to start small. So like I mentioned before, I would get very overwhelmed by the code base and I would start wondering what does what's happening here? It just seems like a lot. So I decided I'm just going to take the first day to thoroughly read through the documentation. I'll take the second day to explore the code base, figure out why certain functions are happening, what fires off when I click this button. That was really helpful. And I also picked up an issue that felt achievable to me. A lot of times articles suggest contributing to for your first contribution, contribute to documentation. That's good advice, but I wanted something that was a little bit more of a challenge for me. I didn't want to sandbag it, but I also didn't want it to be something that I spent 3 weeks trying to figure out. So I picked up an issue that wasn't documentation, but was achievable for me. And then also I suggest joining the Triage team, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Here's just an example of good documentation that you should look for in an open source project. This is virtualcoffee.io's contributing.md, and these are just contributing guidelines that are written in Markdown that kind of tell you what you should do. Right here, it talks about how to wait for a review in their community, but how to deal with suggested changes and tips and gotchas so that people will be able to dive right in. And this kind of answers a lot of questions for you. definitely look for this when you're searching for an open source project, because it's also a good indicator that the project is welcoming, inclusive, and well organized. So for the triage role, so this is a role that's great for you if you're not comfortable coding yet, or you want to exercise your non-technical skills. So let's say you find a project that you're really into, but it's written in Ruby on Rails and you don't know Ruby on Rails. This is a good way to kind of get your feet wet and get comfortable and contribute before actually coding. So oftentimes you'll be writing, organizing, and labeling issues, like helping to prioritize some of the issues. You'll be reviewing code, you'll be doing a little bit of QA, and you'll kind of be the maintainer's hero, because oftentimes this is work that the maintainer's doing. And I'm assuming it could become a lot. So it'd be great to have that extra help. I do want to note that not every open source project has a triage role, but it's definitely good to inquire about it. Also, the last thing that was helpful for me was just following best practices. I was always very nervous that I would put up a pull request and everyone would just laugh at my pull request and be like, what is this? Because I find that tech can be very opinionated. Like sometimes one tech best practice is for one team is not the same for another. So I was not sure about that. So the best thing that helped me is just double checking that contributing.md and any other documentation that they had. So I kept checking. I was like, okay, cool. I'm styling my components how they want me to. I'm formatting my code how they want me to. So that went very well, and I was able to like confidently move through the code base, and then also linking my pull request to my issues. So here's just a GIF, and this person's opening up a pull request, and they, at the end, you notice they write closes issue number 27. Basically, what this is doing is automatically reflecting the progress of an issue based on the pull request. This way, you kind of reduce the workload and any confusion for you and other people in the community. They're not wondering, is this issue closed? Is it in progress? Like, where are we at? You have it linked, and they can easily click to the pull request and see what's going on. And basically how you link it is how the person does in the GIF. You can use the keyword closes, fixes, or resolves, followed by the issue number. I'll end this by saying you don't have to rush your journey. I think a lot of times everything to learn in tech, people are like, you got to learn it fast, you got to move fast. But I'll say you don't have to rush your journey, but definitely start today by making little steps towards accomplishing your goal of contributing to open source. If you like this, follow me at Black Girl Bytes on Twitter, Hashnode, or GitHub. And then also dev.to/GitHub is where me and some other developer advocates are posting more open source tips. So definitely check that out as well. Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, I want to just call out some people who were relating with Rizal while she was giving her presentation. So Create Space said, like, the barrier to contributing to open source seems pretty high. I can relate with that.
Yeah.
Jacob, I've been a developer for 2 years, and just feeling intimidated has been a blocker. Yeah, so yeah, thank you.
I feel you guys. Thank you. No problem. Wait, question. Do I like stay on or leave? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, you stay here.
You are welcome to stay. Yeah, if you want to stay and hang out with us, you're more than welcome to stay.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, we're going to quickly take a quick little break to play a video, and then we'll be right back. So see you in a second. Told you we'd be back quickly. Really short video. That was a bumper for our Deploy conference that is coming up in mid-November. We'll go over more of this later in the program, but if you're interested in a developer conference run by DigitalOcean, check out deploy.digitalocean.com. Okay, so now we're going to talk about open source repository resources. So say you're here and you have been inspired by Rizal's amazing speech, and you now want to get going doing open source. Where do you start? Well, luckily, we've thought of that. And
Have we?
I think we have. I don't know. Maybe. I think we thought of it, but we'll see. So we'll go to our resources page. And under resources on the Hacktoberfest page, if you scroll down, we have these wonderful little icons that animate in such fun ways. I don't know about y'all, but I've just been loving the animations on the Hacktoberfest page this year.
Oh yeah,
Like,
all the animations about the site are wonderful.
It's definitely added some flair to it. So if you ever need any just resources on your own for Hacktoberfest, for maintainers or quality standards or how to participate, all of this is here. But the one we're going to be focusing on today is our beginners documentation. So there's actually quite a bit of resources that we have for beginners. For example, we have our awesome for beginners. See if this opens in the right. There it is. Yay. Now I'm going to have to get an exit full screen to get out. We have an awesome for beginners repository that looks like it's been updated recently. And basically, this is a table of contents list of just a lot of different projects. Like, so say you come here and I want to work on something Java related. I click on Java. You can come here and you can just find repositories that have a lot of different issues ready to go that you can work on. I am a Python developer, so let's see what they have in the Python space. I've heard of some of these. I've heard of Scrappy. This is a great repository, awesome for beginners.
Can you scroll down? I like, this is something I haven't seen before, but I like next to the project name, it says the label you can look for, because often the label is good first issue, but it looks like Kinto has easy, and there's just a lot of different things you could search for in the GitHub repos.
Yeah, there is. I missed that. Yeah, so low hanging fruit. That's a
Can you zoom
difficulty.
on it?
Yeah, I can. Wee.
Oh, nice.
Nah, that's way better.
Looks fine on my screen. So we have all of these. I would say just one thing to make absolutely certain of. Let's check out Cookie Cutter, because I know Cookie Cutter. Oh, but now we have to zoom out and go to the Cookie Cutter repository. Okay, so one thing you do need to make sure whenever you're checking your repositories, make sure they have the Hacktoberfest tag here. Otherwise, they are not opted into the program. So an example of that would be, let's go to the GitHub Hacktoberfest one, because we have a Hacktoberfest repository that is participating in Hacktoberfest. This is the command line tool. So whenever you're looking for repositories that are within Hacktoberfest, they will have this topic here, either on GitHub or on GitLab. I don't know. Matt, do you know of a GitLab repository off the top of your head that we can demo this off of? I don't know.
If you go to gitlab.com/projects topic equals Hacktoberfest, I think this will work.
Nope, didn't work. But again,
I don't know what search syntax is.
It's
in one of these.
Yeah, it's in the participation one. Because like I said, we've thought of a lot of it. Yes. So if we
explore in the URL, okay.
Yeah. So you will see the Hacktoberfest topic right here up at the top. So under GitLab styles, you'll see it right here, and that means that these are participated in.
Yep.
Some other ones we have like Up for Grabs, which is a nice little project. Just it basically says here's some that are like help wanted, up for grabs, and a whole bunch of other things. First Timers Only, which is a nice little project that also just has like a list of issues.
Yeah,
it's an aggregate that aggregates. We are Inception now, so meta. Yes, so there's a lot of resources here for that. Now, Matt, what should people do if their project that they want to contribute to has not opted in?
So, well, I mean, first of all, still contribute. That open source isn't just Hacktoberfest, so you can still go and make a pull request there. No one's stopping you. In fact, I encourage you to go and do that because it's not just about winning Hacktoberfest; it's about participating in open source. But also, when you make that pull request, then just ask the maintainer politely, "Are you happy to opt into Hacktoberfest by adding the topic?" Or if they don't want to opt the whole repo in, you can even ask them, "Can you add the Hacktoberfest-accepted label to my pull request so just my pull request counts towards winning?" And some might say no, and if they do, unfortunately, that's their choice. Don't get angry at them. Respect their decision. You still contribute to open source, which is the whole point.
Is there some place on the Hacktoberfest page or website where we can see that label for the pull request? I don't think I'd be able to remember everything Matt just said.
Yes, participation modal.
Okay.
If you go here, I wrote a very long set of paragraphs about the exact ins and outs of all the rules. So they're all there.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm curious, Rizal and Brandon, how do you go about finding repositories to potentially contribute to?
That's actually how I found AppRate. That's why I'm here, and that's the whole point of this.
Oh my gosh, and now you work there.
Absolutely. It's a crazy story. The potential of open source is astounding. Honestly,
Well,
I was looking
Yeah,
for
tell us.
something. I was looking for something that solved my own problems. I was looking for an open source backend project that I would be using. And I found that I ended up joining the community before I dove into their open source offerings and the challenges there. I got to know the maintainers, and I got to know the people who were actually using the project. That motivated me to put in my first pull request, and things just cascaded from there. So,
Oh, nice. That I guess rhymes with Rizal's advice. Like, find the community, join the Discord, join the Slack channel, whatever it is, and like introduce yourself before you do anything.
Absolutely.
Rizal, what about you? How do you find open source projects?
I've mostly found them through just like my network or Twitter. So the two that I've contributed to so far are Open Source, which my manager is an owner of, and then the other one is this one called Sharing Access, and a mentor in Resilient Coders, which is the bootcamp I'm from. He said like, hey, I'm looking for more contributors, and I was like, okay, cool, sounds cool. So that's mostly how I found it. But yeah, sometimes like if I'm just looking to learn about more open source projects, I'll like go on Twitter, see what people are talking about. Or there's also this newsletter called Changelog Nightly, I think, or Changelog Weekly. I don't know if I'm making that up, but yeah, that's where I usually go. And I also wanted to add on the firsttimersonly.com. I don't know if you guys mentioned this, but they have that little practice workflow where it says first contribution is the first link. I feel like that's important for beginners because I've told friends to contribute and they always get stuck at the pull request part because they don't realize that the flow is different where they have to like fork the project and then compare across forks. So it's good to have that like practice right there.
Oh, that is nice.
This is
I love this repo.
And look at how many languages it's
well,
in.
I got distracted by the fact that I can just click on it and it gives me the language. Oh, well, isn't that just fantastic?
I'm very interested in the pirate language. Just
I am too. I'm trying to find where it went. Where's the pirate? There, English and pirate. So okay.
Tis hard.
Reading tales and watching tutorials.
Oh my god! I remember.
I spent a lot of time on this.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna nope out of that.
That's everything I wanted it to be and more.
Yes, I'm with Brandon.
That's bringing back some weird feelings about a lot of about when Facebook first introduced that in high school and stuff. And oh god, I'm dating myself, but yes. I guess you could. I would love to see if someone wants to do a PR on my repository or my repositories and put it in pirate. The Hacktoberfest repo one. If you want to do it.
I will plug whilst we're here. Translations, Nginx config will happily accept a pirate speak translation.
I actually got I participated in both this year as both I didn't really sign up to be a maintainer, most a participant. I couldn't say that word for a second, but I was actually really happily surprised when I added the Hacktoberfest label to here, and I got someone who contributed a Portuguese README.
Oh, cool!
Hey,
Amazing.
Cool.
Or that's not the README, it's this one right here. Someone just took my entire README and translated it, and I was like, oh, sure, why not? We'll do that. That's easy. So yeah, if you can do translations, a lot of people always need translations for docs. It's a big thing. If I spoke more than one language, this is what I would be doing, but I don't. So sad panda.
I'm wondering, Roselle, can you say more about the triage role that you mentioned? Now I'm thinking about people who are maybe, like you said, not ready to contribute code contributions, but still want to contribute to open source.
Yeah. I don't know a lot of projects with it, but I know Open Source has the triage role, and it's like actually a team of people, and we just essentially help to figure out like, oh, is this a good first issue, or is this like a higher label, or like when would we need this in the roadmap? So it's pretty good. And then if someone puts up a PR, I shouldn't say I do this because I haven't been as consistent with it, but other people on the triage team, they quickly like review the PR. They'll do like a little bit of manual QA testing and stuff like that. That way B Dougie can just like kind of focus on his actual job and do some other stuff in the project. But it's a good opportunity, especially if people are maybe looking to like transition into like product management or something like that. I feel like you can get some free practice there.
That's rad. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Kim, we have a really good question in the chat. Afoma asks, you said that we can ask the project maintainer if we can add a tag to our project. What is the name of the tag?
That's already answered it. Someone's beat us to it from our own account. Answer the question. But yes, Hacktoberfest topic.
Yeah, so it's the Hacktoberfest accepted label. So yes, that's a good question, Afoma. Did that, Phoebe? Did that answer it?
I think so.
Just to clarify, like it's either the Hacktoberfest topic or the Hacktoberfest accepted label. People get very confused between topics and labels. So
yeah.
I've really liked having the Hacktoberfest accepted label as a maintainer because it means I'm able to accept people's contributions even if I'm not ready to merge the work that they've done yet. We have our own different merging schedules, and if it's not quite there yet, but I'm incredibly happy with the contribution as it is, I slap that label on there and I'll merge on my own time.
Nice.
It's a great one to have. Yeah, that's exactly. Whenever we were redesigning this last year, Matt and I were like, well, what if we wanted to do this? It was actually,
what if people don't merge pull requests? What do we do then?
Yeah, it was about that, or they were using, I think this came out of one of our discussions of some people use like off GitHub mergers and stuff, and like they like to change that. I think it was literally the Kubernetes project, because we know a lot of people in the Kubernetes project. They have their own workflow, so it was difficult for them to add the topic. Or I had a couple of people that are maintainers of repositories, but they don't have full admin rights to the repository. So yeah, it was a great little thing. I think that's like one of the things I'm the happiest about that we added last year, was the little label that we do.
Yeah.
And then I guess we'll move on. Any other advice for beginners, and then we'll do a little bit on intermediates and advanced. So does anyone else have any final words for beginners who want to jump into Hacktoberfest?
Don't be scared. Go for it.
Ooh, we have another good question. Hey, if my PR got mature after 31st October, should I be eligible for swag?
Assuming there is still swag available, yes, you can.
Yeah, Matt, you want to give the official spiel for that?
Oh, yeah, sure. So you can make a pull request anytime during October in any time zone. As long as it's still October, you're fine. An existing pull request that was created during October can mature into November. We'll allow that to happen. But if that pull request becomes invalid for any reason, it then can't start maturing again. So the maturing has to start during October.
Yes. So in theory, Hacktoberfest, you could potentially not know until at the latest November 14th. If you did all 15th, if you did all 4 requests on the 31st, and there's a 14-day mature period. So the
last winner is November 15th at midday UTC, at which point I can officially say Hacktoberfest is over and go to sleep for many months.
That's what Matt does. He hibernates. He crawls into a little hole full of theater equipment and plays around, and then every mid to late April we bang on his door and make him come out, and he has to come play with us again.
He's like a groundhog.
Exactly. Yes. And if we see and it's like the local legend, if we see his face, 6 more months of Hacktoberfest.
I can't explain why, but I imagine that door being built into a tree. Can't
Oh,
explain
yeah.
it, but
No, I love that imagery. Giselle, before you go, I know you were getting ready to go, but Joel asks a question in the chat that I thought might be a great one for you to answer because it kind of ties in with your talk, which is, I find repos, which I find interesting, but the code is huge and I don't know where to start. What do I do?
Yeah, good question. I have that problem too. In the talk I mentioned just taking your time with it, so you don't have to like rush yourself. I took the first day to like read through the documentation, and then I did a second day of like exploring the code base before I picked up an issue. Because before that, I used to just pick up an issue and then be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what this is. And then I'll like unassign the ticket for myself. So yeah, take your time. You don't have to rush. The code base is going to be huge, but just like take your time and try to get an understanding of what's there and what's not. And then I also mentioned about joining the triage team or getting a triage role. And that's basically where you would be helping to like prioritize and label issues. So that's another way to like get used to the code base. So inquire about that to the maintainer and introduce yourself in the chat to ask questions. You might not know what to do, and other contributors may be able to lead you in the right direction. Yeah. But I'm going to leave now. So thanks, y'all. It was really fun.
Coming, Giselle.
Great having you.
So great to have you.
Bye.
Okay. We have another question from the chat, which is, can we do a simple pull request? And I think we're going to let's go ahead and do that. We were going to do one more little thing before. We're going to swap that around. We're going to do the common troubleshooting after the pull request. It actually makes a little bit more sense now that I
makes more sense.
think makes more sense when I think about it. Yeah. So Kim, are you ready?
I am ready. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to tell you the story of how I got to the place where I feel like I can make this pull request. So this is more of an intermediate workflow, I suppose. So I work at DigitalOcean. I work a lot on our Kubernetes product, and we have this thing called DigitalOcean Marketplace, where we have like software and applications that you can download onto your droplet or onto your Kubernetes cluster with just one click. And we have a subset called the Kubernetes Marketplace. Let's see. So that's one thing in our Kubernetes Marketplace is you can download this Kubernetes metrics server. Oh, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, let me actually find the Kubernetes. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we have all of these applications that you can do one-click install into your Kubernetes cluster. And a few months ago, I was playing around and I noticed, oh, like the version of this software is a little bit out of date compared to like what I would actually like to use. And so I started exploring like, how can I either request the team upgrade that software or do it myself. So that's the intermediate part of this. The actual thing I'm going to change is not that difficult, but I work at a company. I realized there was something that wasn't quite working in the way that I was hoping. And so I was trying to find out, how do I get this updated? And I'm very lucky because we have this DigitalOcean Marketplace Kubernetes repo, and it has this Hacktoberfest label. So that's how I came to decide I'm going to do this. And so now I'm just going to talk you through the change that I'm going to make, and I will show you the flow in GitHub. So if that's what you're watching, that's exactly the same here as it will be as someone who's doing their first pull request. So I'm going to go into, I can't remember, source or stacks, and metric server was something that I noticed wasn't at the version number I would want it to be. So if I go into this deploy.sh, this bash script, I'm just looking for where the version gets set. Okay, so what this does is it installs a Helm chart from Bitnami called metric server. And right now the chart version is 5.10.4. And I'm going to go to Artifact Hub, which is where Kubernetes Helm charts live, and see what the most up-to-date version of metric server is. So here's Artifact Hub. And if like all this Artifact Hub and Helm and Kubernetes stuff is not the language that you speak, no problem. You can just sort of like relax for a moment. So metrics server. And I want the Bitnami one. Okay. Okay, so it looks like the most up-to-date chart version is 5.10.5. And the one that we're installing right now is 5.10.4. I think this got updated within, since the last time I looked at it, but that's fine. So I want this chart version to be 5.10.5. And so now I'm going to start the process of making the pull request. Okay, so I've decided what I want to change. I sort of know how to do it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fork this repository from the DigitalOcean organization into my own personal GitHub account. So if I click on fork, I'm part of a few GitHub organizations, including Develop Denver and Relentful and DO Community, but I want to fork this to my personal GitHub account. So I'm going to click on that. And it says, I'm taking care of that right now. So there's now a copy of this repository under my GitHub account that I'm going to be working on. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to work on this from my command line. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say git clone. Paste. Okay, and so now I have this Marketplace Kubernetes project on my computer, and then I'm going to change into Marketplace Kubernetes. And then I'm going to open that up in my text editor. And so now I'm going to find that bash script for metric server. So if I believe that was in source. Maybe it was in stacks. There it is, metric server. And I have this deploy.sh. And okay, so it's 5.10.4. And just so I get it right, it's 5.10.5 that I want. So 5.10.5. So literally, I just changed one number in the version number. And so the code contribution is relatively small, but it could still potentially be a big impact. So I'm going to make sure that's saved. And now I'm going to say git status just to make sure. Okay, so it looks like I just changed that thing, or just changed the deploy.sh file. I'll say git diff. And I see the change there, and that's what I want. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say git add that one change, git commit, and the message I'm going to say is bump the version or the chart version number for metric server. And then I'm going to say git push origin. Oh, I thought my branches were main.
Just do git push and it will tell you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
I don't think it even knows. There you go.
All right. So if I go back to the repo here. All right. So I made the change, and it says, okay, so now that you've made the change, your repository has one more commit that's different than the original one. And this is where I want to make the pull request. And I might need help. Oh, well, that was easy. Okay, so on my repository, I've got the change. And if you go to contribute and unfold this, it'll say, would you like to open a pull request against the main repository? So I'm going to say, yes, I'd like to open the pull request. Cool. So it shows me that. No commit comments. And then I would like to add some information on the pull request. I wonder if I can do that. Well, let's see. Create pull request. Oh, this is nice. So DigitalOcean, the engineering team that already maintains this, they have this template that pops up asking me, why did you make that change? Tell us about it. So it says background, add information about the background and the reason for the change. And I'm just going to say, let's see, the Helm chart for metrics server That's good. I have a hard time with what should I say? I need help with like wordsmithing here. Like help metric server chart is
Yeah, the Helm chart for metric server was outdated.
Perfect. The Helm chart for metric
I'll
server.
just leave it at that, to be honest.
Was
Such a small change. It's kind of somewhat a self-explanatory PR.
Yeah. And then I'll say updated the Helm chart version.
I'll go nitpick here, Kim.
Go ahead, please do.
Could you remove the bullet points asking you to do the thing? So it's just your comment.
Oh, yes.
The maintainer speaketh, and he tells us what he wanted.
A lot of actually, it's interesting because a lot of templates nowadays will use comments for this so that they don't show up anyway. But clearly, it's not the case here. But it just makes it easier to read.
And then it says, did you review the contributing doc? I did do that. And then it's going to tag probably this T marketplace engineering.
So ping a lot of people, send a big email.
All right. So now I'm going to create that pull request. Beautiful. And it cannot be merged until somebody reviews it. So that is that, actually. All right. Thank you, Brandon.
I will say, if you want to open up your Hacktoberfest profile, it should be there.
All right. Oh, let's take a look. I will say I have.
Have you won yet?
I have not won.
Okay. We're not going to leak a coupon code.
No coupon codes will be revealed. This is literally my first PR for Hacktoberfest. Let's see if it'll.
It should be down there. It won't show up. I don't think it'll show up as in progress yet because it's not accepted. But there you go.
Oh, beautiful. That's great. So it's saying here are the PRs you've submitted. They haven't been merged yet. So
if you hover over the icon, I think it'll even give you an explanation of kind of what's happening.
Which icon?
On the left, the exclamation mark.
Oh,
there you go.
The pull request has been submitted, but has not yet been accepted. Excellent.
So yeah, there you go. One PR done.
All right. Well, that was fast. I understand the context for the PR is special because it is a project that I work with while I'm at work, and that doesn't apply to everybody. But from the crew on the call, what questions do you have? What things do you want to call out? I definitely have something I'd love to show.
Well,
so
I think I'll just
question?
say, whilst you're saying this is like very specific to this project, the concepts don't change. You fork the repository, you go and make some changes, you commit the changes, and then you make the pull request. Like that fundamental workflow doesn't change. It's just obviously you're going to be making different changes. And a FOMA asked in chat, can you show us the process for documentation? And really, it's the same. You're doing the same set of steps. You're just going to be editing or adding a documentation file instead of touching the code. But you'll still be making that pull request, still doing the forking and everything.
Yeah, I will say a FOMA, if you don't have Git set up or you're not ready to be working on your command line, I believe you could do all of that from the browser. And Brandon is definitely.
GitHub has multiple ways to do it in the browser now. You could either like use the old what's now like the old web UI to edit files directly here, or you can open up VS Code spaces and do it that way. GitHub has a lot of solutions in place if you want to do it all through the web UI. Make it as accessible as possible.
So let's say I did want to do a different contribution on this repository. So this is going to be in my list of repositories. And I don't know, let's say, actually their contributing doc could probably use some additional information. The reason I say that is the contributing doc tells you how to add an application to the marketplace. It doesn't tell you how to make a change like I did. So like if I wanted to do that, if I click on the
press the pencil and it will give you an editor. You can do it right there.
Yeah. And so I could say like, updating version numbers, and then I would, type the instructions here. I can't do that off the top of my head. And then I would go through the exact same process.
So it then has a nice UI here for committing the change.
So I'd commit that change. Oh, there's my change. So good.
Your PR is now going to have that in it because you did it in master. But
I haven't issued the PR yet, though.
Oh, did you not?
Well, maybe. Oh, if that's all right, I can take it out. So then I would go and I would open a pull request, and so I didn't have to do anything from the command line.
Yeah. So the
all
other
done
thing
in the
we should touch on at this point, because someone asked in chat, branches. I do recommend creating a branch for your changes. I know Kim didn't here and did it into master. Depending on the project, some will actually just straight up reject your pull request if it's coming from master. It depends, but I always recommend create a branch for your change so that it's isolated. You know, only the changes you're making for that pull request are in that branch.
Yeah.
So if you're in Git, it's like the Git branch or Git checkout -b, depending on how you want to do it.
But if you're doing it in your own fork and then you're doing the PR into master, does it matter where the source branch is?
It depends. It doesn't matter, but a lot of projects I have and I do it sometimes on my projects. I will reject pull requests that come from a master, even though it's in a fork.
Sure.
It's just convention to make a branch to do your changes.
Oh, okay.
And if you do it in GitHub, if you press the edit from the head repository, it will automatically create a branch for you called patch. And if you do it from your fork, when you go to commit, there's an option at the bottom to choose which branch to put it into.
Nice.
And we have a question. Do we have to fork every time?
So, Kim, if you go back to your fork.
Yes.
There's the fetch upstream button, which GitHub really recently added.
Which has been wonderful.
Which is wonderful. So you don't need to fork every time anymore. The fetch upstream here
will
let you
nice.
resync your fork with the original base repository. So you have all the changes that have been added and can just keep going.
So does that mean if the original repository, if changes were added to that were unrelated to mine, but I wanted them to be in my my fork of it, this button would do that?
Yes,
would
that
pull
would
in
turn
new
up.
changes.
I'll say it merge them in for you. I've never yet seen how it handles a merge conflict, but we could probably talk about that some more in the troubleshooting stuff.
It's the same way.
Oh, is it just the same UI?
It's an editor. Yeah.
What else have we got in chat? Let's see. Zubin asks, does the pull request have to be merged by maintainers to count? So that's one of the ways it can count. Either it can be merged and specifically needs to be merged in platform so that GitHub or GitLab shows it as merged. Or it can have an overall approving review. So the maintainers of the project have approved the change but haven't yet merged it. Or that Hacktoberfest -accepted label can be added, and that will count it no matter what state it's in.
Nice. Well, is now a good time to transition into common troubleshooting tactics?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's go for it.
Also, I want to say hey to Chris. I don't think Chris has said anything this stream. Chris, say something.
Has he woken up yet?
Yes, it took that much time. There were actually some good questions in chat too that would kind of feed into this troubleshooting thing. So I don't know, Chris, maybe you can help us with troubleshooting.
I'll defer to Matt on this one.
All the pressure.
Well, one place we'll start off with is a quick little plug for one of the things that we have for Hacktoberfest this year is our Oh Shit Git zine. So if you have never seen Julia Evans's Wizard zines before, they are amazing. This one was done as a collaboration with, I'm going to be bad at not remember the person's name.
Katie, isn't it?
Katie. Yeah, Katie Seiler Miller right here.
Oh, nice.
So this is a great little zine that you can purchase. Basically, if you don't know what a zine or zine, I don't know how you pronounce them. They're little comics that kind of explain concepts such as Git, and Julia has a lot of them on many different topics. I highly recommend them. But like, it will show you like, okay, if I did something terribly wrong, does Git have a magic time machine? And where she explains it 100% how you can fix all of these. If you want one of these, we are giving away up and while supplies last, one of these for free. So if you want to get it, you can go to do.co/zine or zine, Z-I-N-E. I'm going to be forever upset about the pronunciation of that. And you can fill out. So... Yeah, I'd never thought of that in my life until you told me that. So whenever you did that, just mind blown. So feel free to fill out that form, and while supplies last, if you fill it out, we will email you one probably relatively soon. So, and you will be able to get one as you want. And if you don't like the sweary version, there's an oh dang it git version. So in the form, you'll be able to specify if you want the sweary or non-sweary version. By the way, I've worked with a lot of developers. I have never heard anyone say, oh dang it git. So
Wait, so anyone who's watching can go to that form and fill it out? And
anyone and everyone who's watching, go to that form. You'll give us your email address and which one you want, and we will send you a code where you'll be able to download one for free. And then the cool thing about them is that you can print them out. So like they come as a PDF, but Julia also they're meant to be printed out, folded in half, stapled, and used as like a pocket reference. I have pretty much every single one that she's ever done, and this is my small screen. No, make good for show thingies. This is mine, and like it's actually just some great stuff. So like this page right here changed my life. A branch is a pointer to a commit.
Correct. Never
in my life ever thought of it that way. Just took someone writing it on a really cool thing for it to do that. So, and if you like them, then you can be like me and buy all of them. I am in no way sponsored by Julia Evans, but I do love her work. She's probably one of my favorite developer educators ever. So
hashtag ad, hashtag not ad.
Hashtag not ad. Yeah, no, I only share things I really like.
I had to go back and look. Ooh, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, a question for Phoebe. It looks like Harsha Vardan filled out the form but hasn't gotten their zine yet. What?
Yeah, I think Mason, we'll have to go back and we'll have to double check that one because Mason has the code.
We haven't sent them out yet.
That's what I thought.
We haven't sent them out yet. Like they're going to be sent out very soon. So yes, if you've already filled it out, you don't need to fill it out again because we already have your data. They just haven't been sent out yet. So they will be sent out very soon.
I'll say one big blast, I assume.
It's gonna be one big email blast, so that way we can make sure that the people who signed up first can get one. So be sure to sign up and keep an eye on your email. I'm gonna say we'll try to get that out by the end of the week for sure. I don't think it's that terribly complicated. So, but I could be wrong. It's email. But every person who's ever said it's email, how complicated can it be, ends up managing an Exchange server and hating their life. So.
Wow. I can feel the salt radiating from here.
Can you tell I used to work on email products?
I'm 100% with you. I would not ever want to run an email server again.
Never. Everyone's like, how do you send email from your server? Don't.
Don't.
Easy answer to a common solution. There's a reason that things like MailChimp and Twilio exist. Use them. That make
we have a load of tutorials at DO on like running email servers and stuff. I think every single one at the top has a big box that says, don't do this.
Yes. There are much easier ways to cause yourself pain. Email servers is not one. Anyway, do the zine and then zine, and then what tips do we want to go over for troubleshooting?
Knock one out the park really quickly here. I don't know, Toon Army Captain, maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're asking here, but you need a feature that lets you cherry pick commits from one place to another. I will just say git cherry pick is a command that cherry picks.
I think they might be referencing that being built into GitHub. That would be pretty excellent.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I was going to knock that out of the park. You've named it exactly what it is.
I'm looking to see if there's a cherry pick page in the
cherry pick's really simple to use. It's just git cherry pick and then a commit reference.
Yes, but even
pull it into your branch.
But we still have to always accept the fact that 99% of the people know git add, commit, push, and then rm-rf if it doesn't work.
See, I will also just plug reading the docs here. The git docs are actually pretty good.
We don't have time for that, Matt.
I will put a plug in for the other one of these zines. I didn't realize it, but this was familiar because this is how I learned some other Linux tools a couple years ago. How I learned TCP dump and stack trace. There's some free zines on the bottom, and that's what I remembered. These things are really high quality.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yes. Yeah, I guess while we're here plugging Julia, let's go ahead. And so interesting that she doesn't have, like, these must be all the ones that she pays for. Ooh, bite-sized bash. I don't own that one yet. So you can print them for free, but also another thing that she did is she partnered with No Starch Press, and she made Your Linux Toolbox. Again, small screen, big picture. Your Linux Toolbox, which basically has like cardstock printed full color versions of these. Like, they're good. So you can also do those. Again, not sponsored, just really love good developer resources.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about Git troubleshooting things. We're going to eventually we haven't gotten very far. We seem to keep spinning out at the gate.
Chat, give us your Git problems and we'll solve.
Yes, give us your Git problems.
How could this possibly go wrong?
Yeah, because we totally, I mean, like the last time I did that, I totally messed up a true or false question and got roasted by chat on it. So
we have got one here from Sam, who asks, if you become a seasoned contributor, do you still work from forks? At what point do you get accepted into the main repo? I'm curious kind of what people's takes are on this. I think once you have access to the repo, generally you won't work from a fork. But I'm curious kind of at what point do people tend to see contributors get pulled into the main repo?
It depends on the project. Some projects, like let's say Linux kernel or C Python, there's a long mentoring process, and it's all of, you go through years of training and all of that. And then there's other projects where it's like, haha, you touched it last, it's your problem now. And you get a commit bit, and the original maintainer runs away going, I'm free, as they flee the scene. So it really does depend on the project. I have inherited a few projects that way because they're like, oh, you want to fix it? Then you obviously understand the entire source base, and I'm tired.
True or false? The best way to find out the answer to that question is look at the contributing.md file.
Maybe, if they have one.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say like true 100%, but if it's a big project, generally there'll be documentation on that kind of thing. But if not, again, make an issue, ask. No harm in doing that.
Mm-hmm. I think that when people stop working in forks, once they get added to the project, because it's a lot of extra work to constantly be merging back your fork, like keeping your fork up to date. Once you get access, then like developers internally will just create branches. But it also depends on the project. Very large projects probably have very stringent rules about whether or not you can just create a branch. I would imagine Kubernetes doesn't just let anyone doesn't just let one of their many contributors. Would imagine it's still the other way around.
Yeah, I'd say it's like probably like a bell curve almost of like, don't you use a fork, you don't use a fork, and then you start using a fork again as the project gets really huge.
I think actually, from a maintainer perspective, it comes down to the collaboration model. Importantly, that if you're forking and pushing commits to your own fork, no one else can change that branch. No one else can add things in that you didn't see or anything. But if you're working in a shared branch on the main repository, check on the pull request or the branch to see if the allow edits from maintainers is set. Because if you're pushing to the main branch and working that way, somebody else could push with similar access could push things there. Mm-hmm. So that would be my advice. It depends on how you want to collaborate.
Yeah.
I will also say that new fetch and merge feature in GitHub has made my life so much easier.
I have to call one. I think one's more important than that from a maintainer side. It's the automatic change logs. When you're cutting releases, that has changed my life.
Cool feature.
Nice.
Whenever a maintainer is ready to cut a new release of the project, they go into the releases tab of GitHub and create a new one, label it however that they want. And there's an auto-generate changelog feature which pulls in all of the merges that came from the last release, tags all of the people who contributed to them, creates a nice list of first-time contributors to the project, and it has saved me easily hours already.
Interesting. Okay, that explains why I used to have a release drafter GitHub action on one of my things, and then I was playing around with a Go releaser, and then I was playing around with something on the side, and then like Go releaser just did it, and I was like, then why did I need release drafter? It must be in the new thing that they've added now that because I was like, I wouldn't have built a release drafter action if Go Releaser had done it at the time, because like this has been a year since I had touched this project, and I was like, oh, I'm going to learn GitHub Actions today and Go Releaser, because why not? So that's interesting. I noticed that, but I didn't understand what had happened, and I always assumed that I made a mistake. It's the easiest assumption, and it's usually not wrong. So
yeah, no, it's a pretty new feature. I think within like the last 2 months or so.
Wow.
Which is really cool.
Just in time for Hacktoberfest.
yeah. They do that though. I think I'm curious if they laugh at, because like I make like videos and like how to do stuff on GitHub, and then the next day it's changed right before Hacktoberfest, and I'm like, you did this on purpose.
They were
It's like
testing you.
You knew that I've been making videos on this, and then you just decide that you're going to change the UI the day before. Ooh, so wish Roselle was still here so I could ask her.
Yeah,
GitHub, we love you,
why?
really.
Yes, we do love GitHub. We love you. We're not making fun. It's happened to me twice now, and I'm like, okay, this is starting to feel personal. So, okay. Well, I guess if we don't have any other Git like repository, we can just keep chatting and chilling.
Well, so we've got a question here from Sahitya. I've probably butchered that pronunciation. I apologize. I've got 4 PRs matured as a participant, but I want to know about maintainer side of things. So we talked about this in the last stream. I don't think we talked about it yet this time. Maintainers can also earn a t-shirt this year, or tree, depending on what you want to do. In a very similar way to contributors, actually. We're going to be tracking all of the maintainer actions that maintainers do in a Hacktoberfest repository. And if you have 4 or more actions as a maintainer, you become eligible for some swag. And then the top maintainers, top 10,000, I think it is, will get some swag from us after Hacktoberfest. There are details about this on the Hacktoberfest site, on the resources page. If you click on the maintainers button, it's all there. But it won't show in your profiles, though, because it's a one-time calculation we're going to be doing after Hacktoberfest.
That will hopefully be a 2022 feature.
Yeah. What code you write?
Afoma asks, is the Hacktoberfest image banner on GitHub? It is on our website, right? Like there's like a
This whole brand kit, yes.
There's a brand kit. I have to find it though.
It's on the event kit page. So if you go to events and organizer kit, and then you scroll down.
Is it the virtual swag kit?
No, that is something slightly different.
Somewhere on this page there is a link to.
I think it's in one of the modals. So if you go back up, create an online meetup.
Maybe promoting. I would guess promoting.
Oh yeah, no, it's under promotion. You're right.
You can tell we know our own site.
Yeah.
There it is. Download assets.
It's a nice big button.
That's the only thing I would say. Yeah. Okay. So you can download them, and for some reason it thinks it's a map tool campaign file. I've had this. Yeah, welcome to. I've had a weird issue lately with zip.
What's your file bindings?
I don't know what happened, but apparently D&D took over. Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, I need to figure that one out. That one's been kind of bugging me.
But whilst we're talking about the brand kit, I will also plug the brand guidelines. They're linked right above that button. Please follow them. That is all.
That is all. Yes, we'd love it if you follow the brand guidelines. There's a question about Brainchild is having a very hard time finding valid repos to contribute to. Is there an easy and quick way that you can search for valid repos?
The topic. So if someone shared it in chat, github.com/topic/Hacktoberfest, or the GitLab equivalent, which is /explore/projects ?topic = Hacktoberfest. I think I got it right that time. They're both linked on the site as well. Have a look through there. Just keep in mind our kind of guidance on repositories that we don't think follow the values of Hacktoberfest. We talk about that on the resources page as well. The long and short of it being, if a project seems too easy, it probably is, and we're not going to count it towards Hacktoberfest. So things like add your name to a list or add a random bit of code to this repository, things like that, we generally don't count. So just keep that in mind. If you find what looks like a legitimate open source project that needs help, you're probably going to be fine.
Sounds good.
I think as far as
Go ahead,
sorry,
Phoebe.
Nathan. I was just going to say, like, as far as troubleshooting goes, I know that as a beginner, like when I was trying to do some of my first pull requests, that sometimes I would get tripped up. Like I would fork the repository and then I would make my change, and then some other folks would make a bunch of changes, and then by the time that I tried to merge, I already had like a version that was out. Like some other folks' stuff had been merged, and then I had to like, go back, and that kind of got me tripped up. So I don't know if anybody else has had that problem, but maybe we could talk about that for just a sec.
Well, that new fetch and merge feature on GitHub helps us with that so much, because now you don't have to.
That's right.
You don't have to do it via the command. I know it's a great thing. Like it trips up a lot of people. Like there have been times that like if this change is small enough, I just take the change out, delete, download the latest version, put the new change back in. Because it's very manual, but it works, tried and true. But no, that new fetch and merge feature, and I wish I had something to demonstrate it with, but I'd have to create a couple of different repositories to do it real quick.
Yeah.
But it's a great little tool. So like, I mean, does anyone have any? I guess I can just fork Cloud Haiku real quick.
The Cloud Haiku repo is a great example because it gets changed a lot.
I think the other thing there, right, is there's obviously the whole updating your fork from the source, but you do risk running into merge conflicts. And I'm going to throw this out here. Does anyone want to demo a merge conflict live? But I'm guessing not.
Nope.
But I want to say merge conflicts do happen, and it happens kind of when you've changed the same thing that someone else has changed, and therefore Git doesn't know what to do. So it defers to the human. It asks the human to go in there and go, how do you want me to merge this? And so you'll generally see kind of the source stuff that's coming in, and you'll see your stuff, which is head, and it will just ask you kind of take these two blocks of different code or text or whatever and figure out how to merge them into one for me. So that's the whole merge conflicts are a whole thing. There's loads of great guidance online, but you may run into it. So just be aware of that.
Yep. And then if you see my screen right now, I'm showing. So unfortunately, Cloud Hike, I just forked this so that like I'm up to date. But if your branch does fall behind, there's this like you'll have like this contribute, which is where you do the create pull request, but this fetch upstream will tell you you're behind so much, and it will tell you if you can cleanly merge or not. And if you can, you just click fetch and merge. It updates your stuff. Boom, you're good to go. Telling you, this has been a game changer for me.
Have you got any other forked repos on your account? That might be
no, because I actually do a good job. Like I
keep it clean.
I actually did. I went the other day and I created a whole new org for like all the demos that I do, because like I do a lot of demos for DigitalOcean and stuff. And I was like, these just sit here and they don't get updates because like I do them once, but they're cluttering up my mind. So I created yet another org. And I don't think I had, I can go through, but I think
you can filter by forks at the top, I think.
Well, no, that's all there is. There's nothing. I don't have any forks. I've just got Cloud Haiku because I just did a cleanup. Like a couple. Yes, I know. Like it's too clean. I've only got like 21 repositories here, but this other org has a lot. And then I do a lot of work with a lot of different people. And for some reason, because I just can't say no. So
Two Derby captains suggest we could force push to an older version of the head to demo this. You know what? Yeah. I don't want to make Mason force push live on air. Seems like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that would be like, since we're in the Halloween month, like we could. Okay, I have an idea. Let's make Saw GitHub Git edition. Mm-hmm. It's like you have to correctly and get successfully complete this merge, and 3 things or your entire code base will be deleted. Like we could totally create like a Git version of Saw. Less blood, more loss of data.
Yeah.
So.
And Two Derby captain's other question: can we request kids shirts for next year? It looks like someone didn't answer you in chat, but we can,
that was me.
We can look at kids shirts, but we can't have kids participating because Copper and also like GitHub and GitLab have their own terms of service, and they both don't allow under 13s. So 3 things blocking us from doing that, and I don't think any of them are probably going to change in the next year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the only way that I could foresee having a variety of t-shirt sizes and things is if we actually charge for t-shirts and we just put them out there on the swag shop for folks to purchase, which is a controversial thing. So
It's like
we will not address
is
it
that
here.
what we're doing today in the stream? We're gonna fight Phoebe? Like that's what we're gonna do.
We're just going to seed the idea of paid T-shirts, okay?
Yeah.
Seeding that out there.
Just put that in your hopper and think about it there for a little bit. I did see Varan had a good question. What makes a repo worth contributing to? I love this question.
Ooh.
You know, I think it's a smell test. That's the best way. If it smells like a bad repository, it probably is. I can't think of any guidance to give other than you have to look at it with a critical eye. Does it look like a legitimate project that people are at least trying to use or work on in good faith, or does it only exist to win Hacktoberfest? If it only exists to win, then it's probably not going to be accepted.
Yeah,
I like that answer. Works too.
Yeah, I think outside of Hacktoberfest, though, right? My advice to people has always been, think about the kind of what software do you use on a daily basis? Is any of it open source? Does any of it rely on open source components? Just work through what you touch. And that's what I love to do. Find something that I've been using that happens to be open source and then go and help them out. You're already familiar with the stuff because you've been using it. You have that context already. You can go in there and help out really quickly.
I think that's also a great way to just get into a project. If you're looking for a project to contribute to, at some point you need to understand what the project does. So a great way is to use it yourself, get familiar with how others use it, and try to fix not only your own problems, but the problems that you see are being commented on in the community or in open issues. It's a great time to tackle them there as well.
Yeah.
So I saw a question in chat a while back, but we were in the wrong section and now I can't find it. So this is great.
Can you
but anyway,
what it said?
I know what it is. I like bringing up the bubbles. So if you have cloned your repository into a command line via HTTPS this year and you try to push and you're getting permission denied, it's because GitHub no longer allows the use of passwords.
Found it.
Thank you. Good job, Matt. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of somewhat demo this really quickly.
No.
No, I can demo this really quickly.
Really quickly.
I'm not. It doesn't take that long, Matt. What are you talking about? So if we just git clone this Cloud Haiku repo. Oh, I did. I already messed it up.
Yeah.
I don't need. Yeah. I really don't need the SaaS right now, everyone. I just need some support. We can do this our own way. So make sure because I do it with SSH. So that's why it already messed up. So
take two.
Git clone. Matt, I don't need this from you today. I will find a way to turn on your camera. Okay, so let's go ahead and this is my fork, so it's good. So let's go ahead and just I don't know.
What not to do for a Hacktoberfest pull request.
What not to do for a Hacktoberfest pull request. So say I want to go ahead and get add-a, git commit -s-m stuff. They wrong.
Signed commits. Okay.
Wow. Going all out.
You don't sign your commits?
No, I sign my commits, but I don't have a passphrase.
Well, that's dang it. Okay, now we're okay. Everyone, quiet, please.
The stress, the pressure.
Got it. Good. Okay. So now, if I try to do a git push and I use my username and I try to use my personal password here. It doesn't matter. I don't know why I was actually trying to get that to work. It actually will tell you. So support for password authentication was removed August 13th, 2021. Please a personal token. So what we do now is we go here. We go to settings. I think it's developer settings. Excuse me. Personal access tokens.
Yep.
We're going to generate a new token.
We're going to use this very, very fast.
It's fine, and no one's going to get it within, we literally have stream delay here.
We have stream delay. Stream delay is what's going to save you here.
There's nothing of any value here. So if you want to try to take it in the small amount of time, that's your choice. Okay? Okay, so you get this token, you copy it, you try the git push again, you give your username, you paste the token. Remember, it's Linux, so it doesn't show up. And you're done, and you're good. And now we delete the token. No one has access to my stuff. So you have to use tokens.
Yes.
And if you're
That's the TLDR.
yeah, token's gone. You may have been able to get it, but it's no longer of any use to you because it's gone. So
GitHub removed password authentication because it's considered insecure.
There's a lot of controversial opinions on that one, but I agree with it. I like it. But
I
also
would just prefer if we removed HTTPS completely and just went to SSH. But
yeah, well, we can't. One thing at a time, Matt. One thing at a time. Okay, well, we're coming up on the end, so I guess we're just going to do a quick push.
Hang on.
We're gonna.
We got a question in chat. Daniel asks, a maintainer has some repos that forked from old repos that have been archived. Do those count towards maintainer Hacktoberfest goal?
That is a Matt question.
I haven't written this code yet. I don't know who's writing this code. Someone's writing this code at some point. But I'm going to say yes, it will. I imagine we'll just look at all repositories on a maintainer's account that are participating in Hacktoberfest. So assuming those forked repos are participating and are merging pull requests and stuff, yes, it'll be fine. It should count.
That's a good question. No, that's a great question. I hadn't even thought about that one yet. So it's good to know that there's still things we haven't thought about, or at least I haven't. Cool. Last plug for the zine. So do.co/zine, and you will be able to get a free version of Oh Shit Git. It's a great thing. You should get it. We have another question in the chat. What if I want my project to be verified as a Hacktoberfest repo? So you have to add the Hacktoberfest topic to your repo. Which there are instructions.
So there's no actual verification process. Just add the topic. You'll be good to go. If you do want us to check though, like to check it's not going against our values, feel free to pop up in the Discord and share it there. And I'm sure some people in the community will let you know what they think.
Yeah. And good. I'm glad I'm not the only one who decided that they wanted to delete some forks.
I know.
Yes.
I was going to say you inspired folks. This is
Keep your
amazing.
GitHub clean. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's nice to know. Like they just get in my way as I'm looking for stuff from the old. I'm scrolling and it's like, oh yeah, I did have that. I deleted some forks. I actually deleted some repositories on code that I was like, I'm never going to touch this again, and it's awful and it shouldn't be seen by the human eye. Goodbye. So
Really? You deleted those?
Yes, I did.
You could have at least archived and made them private, so in 10 years' time you can look back at how awful it was.
No. There were some weird Overwatch tools that I was building. Then those APIs don't even work anymore, and so I was like, no. Like, it was bad Python. If I want to look at bad Python, I'll just write some. So,
Fomeros, what's the Discord link? Discord.gg/Hacktoberfest.
I shall drop it in the chat.
Nice and simple.
Okay, we're coming up on about a few minutes left before we're going to jump off. Does anyone else have anything they just want to chat about?
Brandon, do you want to plug?
Yeah, do a plug real quick, Brandon. Sure,
I can give my plug. AppRight is we are an official sponsor for Hacktoberfest this year, and we have had a ton of people come in and contribute. In I think just today we whittled down 300 pull requests, I believe. We whittled down a list of unreviewed things from 450 to 150. So it's been wonderful. You can check us out at appret.io is our website if you're interested in backend as a service and building apps faster.
Nice. That's a lot of PRs.
I've already. I think
I'm hoping it's not just you.
No, it's not just me, thankfully. But all of our GitHub notifications look the same. Like 1,500, 2,000. It's all of us have lost track of that a little bit.
We've got some more questions in chat now that we said we're leaving. This is great. Aaron asks, when will we get t-shirts, emails being shipped? Yep, for sure. I think we're aiming to start shipping stuff by the end of November. Correct me if I'm wrong, Phoebe.
Say that one
Or is
more
it end
time.
of December? I can't remember.
Oh, December. Yes.
Okay, end of December. There you go. But keep in mind, it's international shipping during COVID still, so it's going to take a long time. I think we're saying conservatively 12 weeks, but the joke of the Discord currently is 12 months. So take that as you will. Piyush asks, are there any prerequisites for being a maintainer during Hacktoberfest? No. Just have a repo that you're maintaining. The criteria for getting the swag is on the site, but there aren't any requirements in advance of actually doing that. So set forth and maintain some projects.
Another great question about maturing. And I do, after you're done answering this one, Matt, I want to tag something on about the t-shirts real quick.
Oh, two of us clicked it. What happens during the mature process? Not much, really. The idea behind this kind of 14-day review period is to give maintainers time to change their review. So because we have the mechanic of an approval being considered a way to qualify a pull request and that label, we give maintainers 14 days to kind of add that label and then actually take a more thorough look at the pull request and maybe decide that actually it shouldn't count because it's spammy or whatever. So that's why that period exists. And it also gives us 14 days to identify any larger spam trends and react to them. So, that's when we start excluding repositories and stuff. But yeah, assuming your pull request is fine, just leave it 14 days and it will count. You don't have to worry.
I just had a thought.
Oh.
But I'll have to remind myself about it later. So
cool. Phoebe, take it away with what you said about t-shirts.
All right. Well, one thing I want to mention really briefly is you brought up spam. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to talk about spam. And actually, there was a question in the chat. Suppose maintainers add the spam label, the repo gets excluded, etc., then it won't count. Maybe this is a good time to briefly just show where you can find this information on the website, Mason, if you're sharing your screen, or Kim. If you can go to...
I can do it real quick. Where are we going to?
Just go to the resources page. And if you go to... if you go down to quality standards, yeah, that's a good place to start. This is kind of examples. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to know what is spam.
So that gives you some examples, kind of like more almost kind of what a commit might look like if it's low quality. And then there's this whole section on spam.
Yeah. So we really want to reduce the amount of this going on because it takes up a lot of maintainers' time to deal with. And we really want people to contribute quality stuff to quality projects. So focus on the quality. What I was going to say briefly about t-shirts is this year there are the first folks who get, let's see, there's 50,000 of the people who get their 4 PRs in will get a t-shirt this year. So there's a really good chance that if you get your 4 PRs in really soon, you will get a t-shirt. And I would definitely recommend that you loop your friends in. So if they haven't registered, go get them to register. There's a really good chance you're going to get a t-shirt this year. So do those 4 pull requests. And I also need to follow my own advice and do that.
There's a good question in the chat I would love to address, which is Sam, and they've brought up a couple times. A lot of what we've shown is like very web oriented and not much DevOps stuff. So, Sam, any open source project is open for you to contribute to, and since the CNCF is an organization that supports open source, I would go and find some CNCF projects where you could potentially contribute. And that's really the DevOps Kubernetes container space is there.
Yeah. So anything with that Hacktoberfest topic.
Yeah. Anything to add with diversifying the repos you contribute to?
One last thing I would mention is just that if you don't have time to make a pull request, if you're just too busy, you got too much stuff going on, you can donate directly to open source projects monetarily. If you go to the giving page on the Hacktoberfest website, you can go through and look at projects that are supported by GitHub and Open Collective. And some of them do sort of recurring payments, like you can donate $1 a month to a project. So this is a great way that you can contribute to open source without actually having to do code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open source funding is an issue. Go help.
Yes. That's the wrong question. This is the question. Someone asks, is there any repo present on GitHub for learning GitHub from scratch? Yes.
First
learning how to first contributions, and I've already put it in the chat. We'll show you how to make your first contribution.
And then also opensource.guide if you want to go to that, Mason.
Opensource.guide. All these new TLDs, I swear.
This is GitHub's site for open source, everything open source. And there's some wonderful guides in here for getting started, and also leveling up beyond that as well.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, well, I think that's all the questions we have, and we're pretty much at the end of time today. So thank you everyone for attending. I'm going to drop a couple links in the chat. So the first one we're going to plug is if you enjoy this kind of witty banter, we do this every week, rain or shine, at Cloud Chats. So do.co/Cloud Chats. You can come see Matt, myself, Chris, and Kim there. I was looking down the side and I was like, Brandon doesn't always show up, but Brandon should. We're going to invite Brandon. And Phoebe's been on before, and we'll have her back on after Hacktoberfest. She's going to spend a lot of time at a tropical beach, and she'll phone in from there. So,
we should do that.
Yeah. So yes, that's what we have. Then the last thing we have to plug, and I'm going to pull up my, is deploy. Is that the wrong page?
You got a 404.
Is it digitalocean.com/deploy? Am I just going to the wrong?
It's deploy dot. So typo maybe?
I don't know.
Am I still here?
Deploy.digitalocean.com.
Let's go. There we go.
Okay. Well, we had technical difficulties. Yes, that's my internet. Every morning around the time I want to do with work, it wants to change its DNS server and nothing resolves.
Why
so
don't you just set your own?
Because we talk about that later. So yes, the virtual conference Deploy will be happening November 16th through 17th. It's a free conference. You can register to show up, and we're going to have some great agenda stuff. Kim is going to be doing a great presentation on Kubernetes and getting started with Kubernetes and a whole bunch of other stuff. This is actually going to be really cool. From 0 to 3 million plus deployments, scaling app platform on Kubernetes. There's going to be a lot of great talks. You should definitely check it out. Oh, look, I tried to leave and it asks me if I want to go. So yes, thank you. So that's what we have for Deploy. Go ahead and RSVP today. And I think we're pretty much at the end. Does anyone else have any final plugs they want to make before we bid our farewell?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated today. I hope this was helpful.
Looks like we have another question from Afoma. Which question did you ask? Which she asked? Could you please write the steps for getting the Hacktoberfest image in the comments here? We can just do a direct link to it, right?
I think you should be able to, yeah. Event kit / whatever.
Events. I will say it's a little buried.
Yeah. I think that's on the list.
Now I have to
always improving. Be better tomorrow.
Okay, we put the asset link in the chat, Afoma. So there you go.
There you go.
I guess we'll just ask a few more. Do creating issues count? No, not this year. Creating an issue does not count towards Hacktoberfest. Yes. So I think that's it. Okay. Second call for last calls. Anyone else have anything else they want to join in real quick?
No. Press the end button, Mason. Do it.
Press the end button. Are we good? We good? Okay. It was good to see everyone. Thank you for attending. We'll be on live Cloud Chats this Thursday. Come back and join us. It'll be a grand old time. See y'all later.
Thank you all for joining.
Bye.
Bye.